would this kind of situation exist, and they want to see this, and they came, they saw the situation, and they want to help this. And possible that this is deserve credit the chaplain. But they were the people that had the contact in the army with their colleague, and they try to explain him what could be done, and this was a help. We were in the American zone, but the immigration and the transportation was dependent on the war for occupied army. All the army had Jewish soldiers and officers. The Russian had a lot, and the French had, the English people, what they were against the whole war, but they were against that there will be migration to Palestine that time, and they were very disturbing and try to influence all four occupied zones not to do this, to help to bring in the people to send it further. But the contact between the four was very loose. They didn't have the contact. So the chaplain asked me, listen, we know that they have all kind of soldiers. They don't want to come to the American zone. They don't want to come to our service. How we can do this? So I told them, I will do a holidays. In some holidays, make a big dinner where we will invite officially the four occupied, representative of the four occupied zones. They will be, you will have the opportunity to meet them. I will be the host, but you will be, the man will, in the name of the American zone in the army, you will speak the chaplain, and then you will have the opportunity to tell them, to invite soldiers maybe they have, and you will have contact with this. So you will have to see, to explain them how the American people living in this and everything else. This was done. And the chaplain came, they delivered me everything what I need for the dinner. And there was, first came only, the first time came captains, so two captains, between them was one Jew surely, and they were very happy, they were spending the evening there. I make a performance with the children, small children were singing. The American brought in some soldiers, officer, or he could perform too singing, so, and then they were in contact later with the whole soldiers. Then a year later, when it was other holiday, Passover, we make this kosher, we invited General Connor, representative for General Clark, and for the French commander, and for the English army, they all came. I invited the Catholic representative for the church, and they spent the all together, and therefore they started to bring the soldiers to the synagogue, to the Jewish community synagogue, then they came to them, and this was a contact until the Russians were upset, but they were afraid that with the army, Russian army, we convinced them to leave the army and to go to Palestine, or to desert the army. Then, but this was the beginning, was the work where the chaplain were helping to. And they were the part of the Jewish representative for educational purpose. And this was a very important thing. First, this was an important thing that the other occupied zone, the commander saw that the refugees are living in decent condition, that they are dressed, but they were dressed, and then they have desire to leave Vienna, not to stay there, but they were talking to them, they were spent with them an evening, and then they saw that the American chaplain and the American army is taking care and joint later supplied the whole thing.
You want to eat something?
A little more. See it, yeah. Just a minute. Let's finish this passage.
Okay, fine.
My relationship as a representative of the refugee organizations and as accredited by the all four occupied army, I had the best relationship with the chaplains. Mm-hmm. I respect them for their work. I was trying to help him everything was possible in the condition existing then, and they were the same, give the most what they could give to help the refugee inside in the camps and as representative of the army. That's it.
Aside from the type of activities that we just spoke about, do you remember any other specific experiences where the chaplains were able to help you in any way? In other words, did you ever have to go to either Rabbi Bonin, let's start with Rabbi Bonin, and did he help you in any way, aside from what we already talked about?
The help was...
remember specific instances?
In two directions. As I mentioned before, one was to moral support,
right,
and the second, the influence in the staff of American army was very important and was done by the chaplains when it was emergency.
For example?
In the transport of children was kept on the border 2 days, on the train, and the Russian border guard didn't let them go through. And the Austrian government, after receiving communique from the border that they were kept there under order for the Russian, and they will not let him go further to Vienna, transit to Vienna. I, receiving from my channel the news, I went to the Minister of Interior, Mr. Helmer, and asked him to help us in this case and to call the gendarmerie on the border, the Austrian border, in order then to let the transport go through. He agreed, telling me that in a half hour the order will officially be done and the transport will go transit.
When was this, by the way?
It was in 1946.
When in 1946?
This was, I think, in November or December.
November, December 1946.
After 2 hours, I received from his secretary that the order from the Mr. Herman was given not to let the transport go, only to return and to listen to the Russian and not to make enemies with the Russian occupation zone, occupation army. I was very upset and went to the Mr. Herman, but let me wait 2 hours. And after that, I told him, I know you were a Nazi, and the old government now to behave the same way. And you not let the people, especially the children, come to the border, I will call a press conference and will tell them that the way was before done by the Nazi, today the government in Austria is doing the same thing. I explained this, but he told me he would do. I didn't believe him no more. I went to the chaplain and told him what happened.
Now this was Lifshitz?
Lifshitz. He told him what happened, and he went to General Clark, and General Clark ordered Captain Levy to call up the Interior Minister of Interior, and order him to settle the matter the way where I asked, otherwise he will be responsible for the all consequences for not follow the orders.
How many children were involved in this?
It was maybe 100 children, maybe 100 or 90 children.
And they were coming from?
From Poland. The transport went from Poland.
How did they get on this transport?
They get it from Poland. Was illegal transport went down.
Oh, this was an illegal transport that was stopped.
They were stopped money on the border.
They were caught.
They were not caught. The Russians, sometimes they let go, sometimes they had money there, orders so that they want to keep it where they want to send them back. Maybe the moment was that way that they didn't want to see that the people can go out from their Poland, for their places where they are occupied, and the people are not happy
so
there.
So it was an arbitrary decision type of thing.
And I received a telephone from the minister, Herman, why I went to the army, and why I complaining about it, but he will help me that way or that way. Naturally, this was not true. He never had intention. Because of this intervention, the transport went to and arrived the next day in Vienna. So this is something that I consider they took part and they were helping to.
Mm-hmm. You think that without the chaplain's intervention, it would have been very difficult?
I don't know, but I had a better entrance to this case, to the General Clark, to the chaplain. But I don't know if he asked General Clark directly or he asked other officers, but this was for me. I could complain right away. I didn't have to have appointment with General Clark for 3. I had to wait sometimes 2 days or 3 days.
Right, I see. Now,
and the transport for children frozen, what was called, couldn't wait there more.
Now, were there any other incidents like this?
There must be incidents when they were giving some permission passport to go to the American zone. They were helping to, and their intervention in the DP section to easy the registration and everything was helpful. There's no question about it. They did it without asking them, without special difficulty. When you ask them sometimes who was a chaplain, was ready to help.
Do you remember anything about a package program from the United States?
Yeah.
This was started by the chaplain, is that right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about Bonin.
Yeah.
Did you know his assistant, Eli Heimberg?
I know his assistant. I know all of them. I know them, but not. I didn't have nothing to do with the assistant. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But they organized a special package help. They wrote to family or to friend in America,
Mm-hmm.
and they were sending them package, and this package was given to the chaplain, Orthodox people, children, sick money, what they needed. This was additional to this what they received. It was not enough. But the portion what they received was not money. The food sometimes was not people what they didn't eat money, and they were living in bad condition from camp, was not enough. But this is the way what they were helping them to try to do for them special, and this was a big help, but the packages was very helpful for the need. And this package was special with vitamin, with things what they couldn't normal way, they couldn't buy for the money but they didn't have. They couldn't have this received from joint but the joint didn't have it. And to buy this they were not in a position to pay for this.
Do you remember any incidents where the chaplain had to intervene between the DP and the army to help them out?
Sometimes was one of the two accidents when the army was complaining about this, that they are standing on the street and disturbing the population whenever they want to pass through, and then they were involved in black market too. Sometimes they bought for this what they received, they sold this, and they bought them ticket from theater to go out. But this was not allowed, and the military police reported this to the headquarters, and the headquarters make ration and want to arrest some people, and the intervention from the chaplain when they were released.
Do you remember any big incidents that this took place, or they may have been involved with? Any important incident? No, just general.
General, like a small thing.
Do you remember the chaplain working with UNRWA?
Yeah, this was later, and the UNRWA was when in forestation for the people to emigration.
Yeah.
The chaplain sometimes taught when that the people they have relatives and the family they couldn't reach them. To them they sent out letters, and they tried to contact the family to bring affidavit, or that they signed a letter to hire us, or to join, to bring him to America, and they were in between the liaison between the people where they asked him for help and this offices from immigration for hire.
The question I was asking was, do you remember any illegal type of activities that either one of these chaplains were involved with in helping Jews?
Goodbye. Will be you kind? So, yeah, there was a lot of things to be straightened out by the UNRWA, but when you want to apply to immigration, you had to support with some document. And most of the people when they came, they didn't have the document.
Right.
And the highest was the immigration division from Jewish institution. They apply for the visa for immigrant, but they didn't have all documents. They supposed to supply them. So the chaplain sometimes gave the affidavit, and they take the full responsibility, and it was recognized by the UNRWA. This was a very big thing. Sometimes they had to send telegrams to America to send additional. Or they had contact all kind of consular. They did this. They were helping the people. First, the people didn't have contact. They didn't know how to write, and they didn't have the opportunity to go out to try to have their cases settled. So they chaplains, when there was a special case, they interviewed in the UNRWA, and they were most of the time successful.
Mm-hmm. Were there any other activities of this nature that Rabbi Lifshitz may have been involved with?
Yeah, was sometimes when the refugee or the peace were very kept in jails because suspicious of black market,
yeah.
Black market, and this was a dangerous thing for them because they never could emigrate to America.
Right.
And the chaplain first tried to give him help, but their intervention, when this was not helpful, they tried to have legal advice from lawyers, from the legal division, or for Austria. This was in the Austrian hand, the Austrian police, to intervention there and to try to release them from jail so they can emigrate.
Mm-hmm.
And when this was not a very difficult case, most of them were small things, they were successful.
Now, aside from Rabbi Bonin and Rabbi Lifshitz, did you meet anybody else, any other American Jewish chaplains?
I knew a few of them. First, I knew Rabbi Cohn.
Eugene Cohen.
I knew Rabbi Friedman.
Herbert
Friedman. And I knew Rabbi Dicker.
Herbert Dicker.
Yeah.
Now, what are the type of things that you saw Rabbi Friedman involved with?
Oh, he was giving the army trucks to take the refugee to Italy and or to Germany with this to transport them to camp.
This was part of the Bricha.
Part of rescue, other part of the crime, what you want to tell. Oh, and then they risk their position and intervention money for all kind of documents and food and normally didn't come to the refugee when it was not.
Could we be specific? Do you remember any incidents specifically where either one of these chaplains were involved in that type of thing? In other words, as you know, what I'm trying to do is to give as many details and examples as possible.
This is, I don't think that the details are important, but
why aren't they important?
Because maybe this was not proper to do from a point of view, from the army point of view.
There's no question that there were certain things that they were involved in that they shouldn't have been involved in. But today, there's nothing wrong with talking about what they did.
Yeah, I know fact that they were very, very helpful for this.
But could you be more specific in terms of things you saw them they were doing, whether it was legal or illegal?
Yeah. They allowed to take from the army, they took trucks what was loaded with army equipment and they delivered to the army, and the truck went right away loaded with refugee. Well, they went through the border in Italy to the border to Innsbruck, and they went with the trucks in the night, they went in the morning, they came back when the truck were in the place when they were supposed to be in the army. And they did it, and they did it when
Rabbi Cohen.
Right. And then I don't think so. They always pay for all kind of cover, bed cover, everything funny for them. This went to the children, to the camp where they were without linen and other things. When there was the lever without payment to them or the nothing. They did this. How they get this, I don't know.
Do you feel that the type of activities that the chaplains were doing could have been done by the JDC? In other words, there was no need for chaplains?
I don't want to criticize money, but the job, what JDC did it, is only was supplying with food, with clothes, shoes, medication, but had no bearing what the chaplain did it. The chaplain did it a political, legal, other things what the joint as unpolitical institution never could do this, and the right thing what he never did it is because therefore he could keep his supplying and his help with food, with other things all the time. He was not accused by the army of doing things was illegal.
Right, but the chaplain could get away with
it. They get away, but they risk everybody for them, risk their officer rank and risk money to be in jail.
Right. Now, you had a concluding statement that you want to make?
Yeah.
We'll start a new.
You ask.